oh, guys only care about sex. Oh, God. Well, you chose those guys. There are guys that don't only care about sex. You shunned them because you have damage and because your perception of self is such that you're only there for sex and you're only valued for sex and you should only, treat your sexuality as your number one. So you attracted all these crappy guys and now you're mad about it.
Why are men expected to accept a female's hormones, but women are not accepting a male's hormones? Have you ever thought about this? It doesn't make sense for women to expect something from men and even make them feel guilty about it, but then not have the integrity to accept the same responsibility. Preposterous. Feminism, as it exists now, encourages women to achieve dominance over males as well as equality. It is totally irrational for feminists to base their entire life and their feminist philosophy on the 1% of men who have harmed women in the past and use it to treat every male of the other 99% in the same way. And this is the reason why contemporary women have such a high body count today. They've associated it with independence, freedom, and retaliation against the 1% of males who did mistreat women. The anti-male feminist women of today have incredibly high body counts, and they're proud of it. They're proud of the fact that they don't have any responsibilities towards their own bodies and their own well-being. They constantly try to oppress and subjugate men and feel they've accomplished something when they do. They deliberately reject and ignore men so that they can get an ego massage of how they are superior to men. And so, the biggest wave of men going their own way is here to stay and growing in its strength. It's basically because making men as feminine as possible is the newest goal of the womanist movement and represents the true character of women. They've grown so feminized that they fear being among women since they changed into more male roles. By deliberately eliminating men's needs and desires to be masculine and engage in macho activities like athletics and combat sports like boxing or wrestling, these women hope to get revenge on men. However, these women are forgetting that having guys around who won't approach women or even want to be with women for whatever reason is a double-edged sword and is destined to bite them in the back sooner or later with all of this wrath against males and their history with women in the past. Because, as you know, more and more men will grow more feminine and more women more and more masculine. The women will ultimately find that they have no males to be partners with. The males will come to see that society is deceiving them, just as they do now. Because you know what, if you look at history, men live according to what they're naturally supposed to be and supposed to do with life. It's the women who have had the problems. So, men are going to get back to being masculine and women will find they're going against nature. But out of stubbornness, they'll keep living that way until they're alone and miserable at age 50. Additionally, as I've already stated, we must expose the destructive effects of feminism in the globe to the public and call it out for what it is. It began as an admirable movement for women's rights and social participation. But now that I think about it, it's more of a movement that encourages women to subjugate males and assume their positions in society, or rather, a movement that maintains an anti-male narrative. It completely ignores the true value of women as feminine beings who have the biological superpowers of being able to give birth to human beings, of being able to care for children and men, and nurture families. These are qualities men don't have. These are qualities that make women stand apart. However, the feminism of today perpetuates a rebellious faction of women who only want to live a life based on how low-quality men used to live their lives sleeping around with women and not embracing the responsibilities of being men. Modern feminism is teaching women to be second-class males instead of first-class women. This is the reason I believe that current feminism has mostly lied to women. Modern feminism has stripped women of their meaning and purpose and replaced it with a new one that will only make them more unhappy. You simply need to look at the women in your community or online to understand what I mean. Feminism is to blame for how sad women are. They believe they are a part of some admirable movement that frees them from their concerns, but in reality, it merely takes their worth. In research I just read, virgin brides were shown to have the lowest divorce rates overall. Women with 10 or more partners are the most likely to divorce, but this only became true in recent years, the study said. This only goes to show that the more women sleep around, the more they're likely to lose any sense of loyalty and future stability when it comes to relationships. On top of that, no man truly wants to be with a woman who has a high body count. The more of anything you have, the less desire you eventually have for it. The more worth or allure it has for you, the less desire you will have for it. And that desire will only grow. That is how relationships are. I've watched several videos online of women sobbing because they've had so many relationships with guys that they're just unsure of what to do with their life. This is something I've said before and will continue to say. Men were created to procreate, protect, and disperse their seed. Women were created to be givers of love and warmth, and to raise children alongside their partners. Each has unique features and motives. Women have only come to believe that they are inferior beings as a result of the awakened female narrative. If they are not performing all that a man is capable of. Men don't typically cry about their inability to become parents. Men rarely express a desire to raise children while women provide the resources, income, and security. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The more aligned a man is with his masculinity, the more successful he will be. He's not going to be able to attain that if suddenly decides because of popular culture that he'd rather be a woman. Similarly, the more aligned a woman is with her feminine side, the more successful she is. For her, success isn't wealth creation. It's the happiness of her children. It's in the moments that she shares with her family. However, modern feminism has completely twisted this to make it sound like being traditionally feminine is a weakness. That masculinity is a weakness, and that women need to be more masculine and men need to be more feminine. They've completely twisted it around and women are miserable as a result. I support women's rights to vote, to work, to make money, and to seek careers. I wholeheartedly support women's right to lead independent lives. But I oppose a culture in which girls are made to believe that they should despise males, or that their life's work should be to shirk their femininity and cheerfully devote themselves to raising children. I have zero tolerance for women who believe they must engage in physical activity with guys in their 30s or older in order to exact revenge on males or the 1% of men whom they have heard have victimized them in the past. There are still some males who act recklessly or inappropriately for their gender, but that doesn't. There's a fine line between equality and superiority, and women are trying to cross it. Even while contemporary feminist women claim to want equality, they only want it according to their rules, which involve dominating men. Women desire partial equality. True equality isn't what they seek. They desire to receive the same pay as a man does for a particular position without putting in the same amount of effort. Women want a seat in the boardroom, but they can't stay past 6 o'clock because they have a spa appointment. Women just display their anti-male awakened nature when they act in this way, since it demonstrates their want to simply ride the success wave without having to fight for it. They compare themselves with high-quality men who literally sacrifice their entire lives and live in incredibly competitive environments just so they can get to those positions and make a good living for their families. They aggressively propagate the harmful myth that contemporary feminine women can survive in those societies without the presence of any men. This tale is dangerous because it gives young women the impression that they can attain that without ever having to work for it. Will these women work in the underground to fix the subways? Will they put their lives at risk on oil rigs? No. For women, equality is selective. It's like when they wanted candy when they were 4 years old and did everything they could to get it, including emotional manipulation. Decades of helpless women have been used as pawns in gender politics to create dominance, which has led to the biggest wave of MGT. And believe me, it's here to stay for the next decades. Men can only watch and let women come full circle to realize how wrong they were. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. And let us know your thoughts on this in the comments. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.